Are you looking for an SMP server that you can play on your own or with friends? Then this server might be for you. This is the server review series where we rate servers based on 5 key elements: gameplay quality, community and moderation, performance, visual design, and replayability. Now, let's hear a little bit about Mystic MC. Mystic MC is a server that focuses on giving a non-grief survival experience for both Java and Bedrock players. Whether you play Minecraft to make some friends, build awesome structures, trade with others, or just wield some really awesome items, then this server is definitely for you. But before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe. And if you guys are interested in chatting with me and other viewers, then feel free to join my Discord down below. Even if this server isn't for you, I can guarantee that we've probably covered a server before that might fit what you're looking for. And yeah, if you guys do have a server you'd like me to check out that you play on, then drop it down below and I will check it out. But anyway, that's enough of me waffling. Let's get into the review. Mystic MC is one of those servers that one of its strengths is its community. The economy seems relatively balanced, and the crates also seem quite balanced as well. There's quite a lot of crates for you to choose from, so you can look at that how you'd like. Personally, I prefer to have a limited amount of crates, but they might do seasonal ones as well. They also have player warps, which is a great feature because it means that you can join and instantly look for somebody that's got a nice shop, a nice base that you can join on, a town, or just a nice XP farm if you want to get started as quick as possible. The only real downside is that this is just an SMP server. You can't really do much more than just play the game, get some nice custom items, and basically run around and do what you'd normally do if you're playing with your friends. Now, to some, this isn't a problem at all, and you may just be looking for an experience like that, but they have 2 separate servers for you to play on. If I'm honest with you, I don't really know what the main difference is between these 2 servers, and it doesn't really give you a lot of information. No one really provided a reason for me to go on either one, so I just picked to jump on the first one I found appealing. I think one thing that I did find a little bit challenging and I wasn't a fan of was just how small the spawn was. And this isn't a big discredit, and the main reason why I don't want to put this in visual design is because the way it looked wasn't a problem for me. It was actually the layout. You have to jump across some water basically to get to different sections, which is perfectly fine. It's no problem doing that. But they had 3 different portals, and 2 of them took you about 20 blocks away to one of these small islands. And these islands actually didn't really have a use. Like, one of the islands literally had 4 NPCs as you get onto the island that are just 4 different shops. And I'm not going to say this is lazy, but it just kind of felt that they got this sort of build idea and then they had too much content to fit in, and it just doesn't really work that well. Now, it's completely up to you on if you think that would put you off of the server, but for me, it just kind of didn't really flow as well as I'd like it to. And for a server that is basically an SMP, I don't really see how you can mess that up. But that's no discredit to them, and it might just be a case of they added more shops and more stores, and they just had to spread it out because players were getting confused. But maybe they're in the works to make a nicer spawn area that's going to be way better structured and easier to use. But at this moment in time, it just kind of felt a little bit too crammed. And I know the irony there of me sometimes saying that spawns are too big, but they just felt like there was no structure to this spawn at all. And it felt, in a way, and I don't want to say this is the case, but it felt like they just bought the build and then put everything into it. That may be wrong. They may have built this themselves, and I don't want to accuse them of that. But it didn't feel like the spawn was actually made and tailored to their needs. And that kind of made it feel like it cheapened the experience of playing on the server. Overall, though, the gameplay quality was actually quite smooth. I really enjoyed it. I think the player warps actually added quite a lot of content. And it gave you an opportunity to meet people because you could meet in different places that weren't just spawn. And I think the element of it being a no-grief server and you being safe and away from the PvP elements appeals to a lot of people that aren't looking for a lifestyle experience and want to just kind of make some friends and trust people. Overall, though, I'm going to rate the gameplay quality at 4 stars. I do really think there are a lot of good elements here, and I think that's key to building something special. I'd like to know what their roadmap is on new content, but I also think that maybe this is what they're looking for. They're looking for something that's very simple and where the community can grow and flourish. And if that's what they're trying to do, then that's great. But I think the spawn area itself is what's letting the gameplay quality down here because it just feels way too crammed. So let's have a look at community and moderation, because for a server that's saying that they are mainly based around having a friendly experience and a good community, I think that's a really important thing that we need to look at. I'm going to be honest here, I haven't had one bad experience with this community, and everyone seemed really friendly in the chat. People were open to having you come and look at their places and look at their bases. I went to an XP farm and there were a couple people there, and they noticed I was new to the server and they actually moved out the way to let me collect XP. So they are a really nice community and I really do rate them highly. I think one thing that I was taken aback by is they have a very active Discord community, but the Discord itself doesn't have too much in it. In comparison to other servers I've been in, I see hundreds of chats. I think they have 10 chats in their Discord as a whole, which is actually really nice. They have a general chat that you can speak in, and then they have 2 separate chats that are for the Arcane and the Cosmic server, which are just the 2 different servers that you can play on. They also have an active change log, which is really good because we can see every change that happens. And they have a suggestion section that you can just go in and suggest new content for the server, which is good because it means they listen to the community. They also just have a help section, and everything else is basically an off-topic chat and showing off your builds. That's basically all that's in the Discord. And I think the fact it's so simple kind of shows that the community doesn't need a load of things to keep it active, because all these chats are actively spoken and people are constantly speaking. And to me, that means that the community is really active and really caring, and I don't see arguments or anything bad. So for me, I've got to rate the community 5 stars, and it's not very often that I would do that. So yeah, it's actually a really nice community, and I recommend you guys checking them out. Okay, so let's go on to performance, because let's be honest, no one wants to play on a server that is constantly lagging. And I've got to be honest, Mystic MC doesn't really have that much lag. I think the only time that there was some noticeable lag, and having a look through the community, most people only really experience lag when there's the piñata parties going on. And now those are mainly just from voting events, which is okay because you normally end up having 50 to 100 players in one place, all trying to punch 5 piñatas. And that's completely understandable that there's going to be some lag, because you're pulling people from loads of places to one area and you're all in one place. Now, I do think there's ways that this could be addressed, but also if that's the only lag I'm really seeing, I really don't think that I can critique the server too much. So overall, I'm going to give performance a 4-star rating. I don't want to give it 4.5, and I don't want to give it 5, just down to the fact of there's not so many players that it would get overwhelmed in the piñata parties. So it is a slight concern for me, but I definitely think, having played the server for at least an hour, that I didn't have too much lag. So I definitely think it's worth you trying it out with your friends or on your own, and just letting me know what you think down below in the comments. Okay, so let's have a look at the visual design on the server, because I'll be honest, there are some custom textures, but there's not too many. Now, this isn't a negative by any means, but it does mean I can't rate it at 5 stars. But that's no discredit to the server itself. If they want to keep the SMP feel and keep it still relatively vanilla, that is okay. I think the custom crates, they look incredible, and I've got to say I rate them highly. And just the nice pause menu is a nice touch. And I think a lot of servers do miss out on putting in a nice custom pause menu that looks unique and has its own custom feel. So credit to them on that regard as well. Overall, the builds do look really nice as well, but there's actually not too many builds that are made by the server themselves. And with what I said about the spawn area, I just feel like I can't rate the visual design too high, because I feel like they've been too narrowed down on making something look good over making it practical. I do think overall, though, the visual design is really nice, so I'm not going to rate them too lowly either. I think a 4-star rating is a fair rating on the visual design, purely down to the fact that they haven't added too much custom content that's overwhelming, but they also lack having so much custom content that I feel like there isn't enough for me to rate this too highly. So I think 4 stars is a fair rating on the visual design. Overall, it's a really pretty server, and if you are looking for something that feels vanilla but has a few custom things in, this is definitely the place for you to play. So let's have a look at the replayability, because this is where I think the server has its biggest weakness. As much as I do agree that having the player warps is a great touch, and it is great to let players show off their builds and help each other out, I do also think that this might take away from a lot of the replayable factor. As I've said on plenty of other servers before, the replayability is entirely down to how you play the game, and that is perfectly fine. But I also know that if there is an incredible XP farm, you're not going to make an XP farm because you can go and use someone else's. Now, these player warps might not last forever, and you may want to actually make your own, because then you can use it as much as you want, and you don't want it to be public. which is perfectly fine. Now, I think the replayability is a tough spot for this server because I don't really know how much I would continue to play once I know where everything is. Once I figured out my way to make money, I would go to a shop and I would buy everything I need. And if I needed XP, I would go to an XP farm, which is free to use, by the way, and I would just get XP, which is great because if you're looking to have a load of items to build, then you're perfectly fine. You're set. You can basically play like it's creative. But if you're looking for an actual survival experience, I would recommend putting in some rules on yourself to stop you from going and using all of these farms constantly. But then again, if you're playing as a group of 4 and you have your friends, then maybe you all do different tasks and there's a load of replayability here. But as I've said, the replayability entirely comes down to who you are and how you play the game. I think from my point of view, I don't think I'd be able to play this server for more than 50 hours. And 50 hours sounds like a lot of time. But as somebody that plays a lot of Minecraft and just a lot of games in general, 50 hours is actually not too much to me. And I'm not going to say that that amount of playtime is a negative. I definitely think this server is the sort of place that you could go to get your Minecraft fix if you're someone that plays Minecraft for 2 weeks a year. And maybe the early game is something that you're not really that interested in. And this server gives you the opportunity to kind of skip that early game with all of the farms and shops that are around. So I do think the replayability is there. It just depends on your playstyle. So I'm going to give the replayability 3.5 stars. I think that's roughly around where I would rate it because I do think that there's enough replayable factor there that you could enjoy yourself. But I also do think that it might lack depending on how you like to play the game. So that's been Mystic MC. Overall, I do think it's a good server and it's something that you should definitely check out if you're looking for just a Minecraft phase or you're looking for just an SMP that is a little bit more bare bones and not an entirely overwhelming experience. The community seems solid and it definitely seems like a place that you could go with your friends or go to make friends yourself. And the fact that it is both Java and Bedrock Edition is a massive appeal to a wider audience that would be interested in playing this server. If you guys have enjoyed the video, make sure you drop a like and subscribe and join my Discord as well if you guys want to chat. If you guys have played Mystic MC, let me know what you think about it down below. Or if you guys are interested in me checking out a server that you currently play, then drop it down below as well and I'll check it out when I get the time. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one.